All right. So, here are the Batman movies. We have a shit ton of Batman movies. I've never watched a full Batman movie, so this is beyond me. Dude, if you're gonna watch them, watch animated ones. They're the best ones. Alright, so our S tiers and our F tiers. That's what we're looking at first. That is what we're looking at first. So, I think as far as F goes, I am debating between Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and The Dark Knight. I am debating between those two, because both bored the ever-living shit out of me, and I thought all the characters in both were done terribly. Like, I just thought they were awful. Can I put both? I mean, what are the pluses for each? I mean, Dark Knight, I have a hard time thinking of any, but Batman vs. Superman, Batman-Superman fight was, it was okay, I guess. Heath Ledger's Joker was a good performance on its own. Oh, I think it was fucking cringy and terrible. I don't know why everyone gives that the green light. His performance came off as an edgy middle school anarchist with like some kind of that's trying way too hard to be intimidating and just comes off as like super fucking cringe. I don't know. I didn't see anything redeeming in that performance, with the exception of that one thing where he's trying to blow up the hospital, but it takes a couple hits of the button. I think that was the one good moment he had the entire movie. And you know what? I think that might actually give it... I don't know. I don't know if that's enough to get it out of the F tier, though. Joker is literally everything you just said. That particular one, yes. That particular one. The other Jokers have been a lot of fun. Most of them have been a lot of fun. I think I'll just put them both as my F tiers, honestly. So let's see. I've got a lot of layers here. Let's see. Dark Knight. You'll go here. And Batman vs. Superman will go here. So we got our Fs. As far as S's, I think Batman vs. Superman, worst use of Ben Affleck. I think any use of Ben Affleck is pretty bad. Let's see. I'm gonna say that has to go between... Okay, I'm not going to put Batman Beyond Return of the Joker up there, because Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, that had... It almost has the same problem as Up, where there are 10 minutes of exposition in that movie that are fucking phenomenal, but the rest of it's just kind of okay, you know? So, I'm going to say it's going to be between... Christ. Mask of the Phantasm and Under the Red Hood. Those would be up there around the S's. Mask of the Phantasm is like one of the pinnacle Batman films. I think it was the last animated Batman film to get a theatrical release. The score is fucking amazing. The story's pretty tight. It's a pretty nice whodunit. Pretty damn good. The inclusion of the Joker did not totally feel forced. I think Sarah and I were talking about this before. It seems like the Joker is kind of the and Knuckles meme of Batman movies, where they just insert him no matter, like, if he fits or not. I mean, it's the only animated one to get theatrical release. Oh, it was. Under the Red Hood, I really fucking enjoy that story a lot. It is my favorite. It is definitely my favorite. So I think I'm gonna put them both up there. Under the Red Hood was a great story. I still side with Jason Todd in that one. With his killing the Joker solution to the Joker problem. I think Batman was being a little bit too much of a principled little bitch. I think the correct solution is getting rid of the Joker permanently. Oh, where my principles? Well, how many graveyards have to be filled until you let those go for a minute? My personal feelings come before the lives of others. But yeah, I'm gonna go with those two for my S tiers. I fucking love those. Oh, God, now I gotta look for it. Jesus Christ. Red Hood. Oh, also, John DiMaggio, he puts out a pretty damn good performance as the Joker. I usually prefer Mark Hamill, who played the Joker in Mask of the Phantasm. But John DiMaggio, he does a pretty good Joker. He does a good job. I'm a fucking doof. I tried pouring milk in my cereal with the lid still on the carton. That's awesome. I mean, the court should have killed him years ago. That's true, but the death penalty is extremely hard to get on anyone. And even if you are getting it, it takes years and years and years, wherein the Joker would just escape a bunch of times, fill entire graveyards filled with people, just do it again and again and again and again and again. Just so Batman can feel morally superior to people. I think he should have just let Jason Todd pull the trigger. I think that should have been it. And then, you know, take Jason Todd to jail for doing the horrible things he did. To get to that point. Because, did some fucked up shit. Also, maybe get him a little help. A little bit. Alright, so, let's go through them. Okay, Batman Sub-Zero. Mr. Freeze is my favorite villain from Batman the Animated Series that this movie is based on. I like the tragic route they took with him. I like that. Like, they're the ones that started the whole thing of not making him a joke character. They made him like a really tragic Shakespearean villain. Very nice way of speech, very cool voice, great motivation. You always kind of like half side with him on shit. And I really like that in a villain. But unfortunately, I don't think he's enough. I don't think the use of him and his character are enough to save the rest of the movie, because the rest of the movie's kind of like a middle-of-the-road episode of the show. But the show itself isn't bad, you know what I mean? It's just kind of meh. So I'm thinking of putting it around the D area. That is my thought. I'll put it in the D's. D's nuts. See, if you kill a killer, the number of the killers doesn't go down. Okay, but what if you kill like 50 killers? Then it goes down by 49. You know? He makes a point. Oh, man. And we'll get to Killing Joke, don't worry. Alright, Son of Batman. Had a very cool opening. You've got Deathstroke taking down Ra's al Ghul and also trying to kill Talia and Damian. Pretty fucking cool opening. And so the rest of the movie is Batman discovering, oh shit, I have a baby. I have a baby after that woman raped me. So yeah, apparently Batman was drugged and someone had their way with him, and now they have a child. And that child is the new Robin, who is a murderous ninja-trained motherfucker, who's also a spoiled little brat, which is kind of annoying sometimes, but his ability to kill things is just too cool. And to see Batman trying to rein him in the whole movie, to see him fight Nightwing, to see him fight Deathstroke, like, all the action in this movie is pretty damn good. The story itself is, I mean, it's okay. It's not the best Batman story, but I think the action in the movie carries it a lot. I'm willing to give it a C. I'm willing to give it a C. A high C, but a C. Jason Todd, but worse. His voice sucks. I wish they Jason Todded Damian. Me don't like Damian Wayne. I like Damian Wayne. He's frustrating. Also, Talia raped Batman confirmed. It's like, are we just gonna glance over that? Yeah, that is a good point. They don't really make a big deal out of that. She did rape Batman. I think she might get the award for most badass villain in Batman, considering she raped Batman. I mean, what other Batman villain could possibly say that? Like, you get... Okay, imagine that episode of Batman the Animated Series, where all the main villains, Poison Ivy, the Joker, Killer Croc, all of them are sitting around the poker table or talking about their best Batman stories where they almost got him. Imagine Talia at that table and saying, I fucking raped Batman. The rest of the table just like, hands up, we're done. We're done. We can't compete. We're done. Oh, jeez. Hey, there's a new person in the chat. We've got BFG, aka Josh. Hey, how's it going? How is it going, my dude? We are currently ranking Batman movies. And then we're gonna return to Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. We just put Son of Batman at C. And next up, we've got Batman Bad Blood. Alright, so Batman Bad Blood was my personal introduction to Batwoman, at least this particular iteration of her, which is the one that they're making a terrible live-action show out of. I'm sure you've seen the trailer meme to death already. If you think that version of Batwoman is cringy, I would implore you to watch this movie, Batman Bad Blood, because I think the feminist stuff is there. It is slightly cringy, but it's a little more jokey and downplayed. Like, there's a couple jokes here and there that are like, you know, oh, woman can't do it, Amanda. Like, there's stuff like that here and there, but it's passed off a little more jokingly, and it's very brief. And the majority of the time she's on screen, it's showing her doing really cool Batwoman shit and showing her distinguishing herself from Batman outside of the costume. Like, yes, he was the inspiration for what she does, but she's willing to use guns and kill motherfuckers. And she's good enough that Batman's having that conflict of, okay, I either have to get her to work with me, or I have to take her down. Like, that's the conflict he has, initially. And that introduction to her character was very good for me. I really like this Batwoman. The movie itself also has... See, it's got Batwoman, it's got Nightwing, it's got Damian Wayne as Robin. It's got Nightwing, Batwoman. Oh yeah, it's got Batwing, who's pretty cool. He's like the Iron Man Batman, the son of Lucius, who's like the dude from Wayne Tech that supplies the Wayne Tech for Batman. But yeah. Another movie where it kind of does have... Oh, and it also has a use of the Mad Hatter that we don't see a whole lot, where he's not totally creepy. He's just kind of a dude that's into mind control and shit. You know what I mean? He's just a dude doing a job. And it's showing a cool use of his abilities and shit. And that was kind of fun. It was kind of cool to see him again. He doesn't get a lot of representation. I know that Sarah is very, very passionate about the Mad Hatter. I'm kind of curious to see what you think of their use. It's very brief. They don't use him a lot. In fact, I think they kill him off. But Oh yeah, he's there against his will. Okay, that's what it was. It's been a while since I've seen a couple of these, so my apologies if I'm remembering the plot wrong. Then they popped his head off. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, Batman gets kidnapped by Talia, and they're trying to brainwash him and shit, which they do semi-successfully, and it's up to the Limelight characters in the Batman family to save him and stop the evil plot to take over the world. Blah, blah, blah. Story-wise, it's okay. It is passable. It's got some good action. It has a great introduction to Batwoman, I think. I really like this version of her. For me, it really is more the action and Batwoman that carry it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put it in C alongside Son of Batman. It's about the same. Let's see, Mad Hatter got his head exploded. That he did. Which one of these had Dollmaker? Oh, Dollmaker was... That was Batman versus Robin. I didn't put that on this list because I remember, like, next to nothing about it. Just I believe it was that one. It was cool to see Batman was actually Nightwing playing the part. Yeah, that is kind of cool, actually. I do like that. All right, next up, we've got Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. Now, this was my first introduction to the Batwoman character, and it was not a... It's not a great version of her. It is an interesting concept for the character, but it is not my favorite. This one kind of centered... It's a lot more... Also based on the animated series. It focuses on Bruce Wayne and his dating issues and shit. There's a lot of focus on that. And that stuff bores the shit out of me. And it's not like Mask of the Phantasm where it's this whole character developing story, this tragic backstory with his first romantic relationship while he was starting out as Batman. And you know how that turned out. Like, it's not a huge developed story like that. It's just him pretty much trying to get laid by this chick who's the daughter of a crime boss. And the Batwoman eventually turned... Like, you meet several women throughout the film. Like, one works at Wayne Tech, and she's really good with machines. She's the Donatello of the group. Then you have the daughter of the crime boss, who, you know, like, each woman he meets throughout the film, they each have, like, you know, skills that the Batwoman seems to use. And she's, like, you know, causing a ruckus all around town. He's trying to figure out who it is. Turns out it's all of them. Spoilers. You probably figured out pretty damn quick. But turns out it's all of them. And they, like, take turns being in the suit. And they each supply different qualities. They each supply their own shit. And it had... I don't know. It had that annoying thing that a lot of 90s animated films had. Where there's like, oh, we gotta have that weird... oddly catchy pop song that no one really likes, but it sticks in your brain forever. Like, the name of the song was Betcha Never, and it still is in my brain. I still hate it, but it's still in my brain, and I can't let it go. I listen to it every now and then, I'm like, I hate myself. It did have that annoying trope in it. I'm trying to think of a scene I liked. Oh yeah, this scene actually... They had a scene in there where Barbara Gordon was actually hitting on Batman. A little bit. Like, she's pretty much asking him out, and he's just like, going through a tunnel. Hang up. The Catwoman short attached to it was cool. Yeah, that was alright. It was alright. I liked it. I won't give it points for that, though, since that is technically a separate thing. But, I don't know. It didn't hold a lot of weight. The story was meh. The action was meh. The mystery involved was pretty weak, honestly. I don't know. I'd put it in D, along with Sub-Zero. Alright, so next up, Killing Joke. This is one of the ones I disagree with a lot of people on. I enjoyed the Killing Joke. I agree that the first, 20, 30 minutes? The story with Batgirl and Batman hooking up, about, that whole thing was pretty weird. I'm not against the idea of them developing feelings for each other, if only briefly, and then they, like, have to cut it off. I'm not against that. It does feel like a separate episode of one of the shows attached to the movie. And the entire point of it is to establish that concept of Batman being on the edge of the abyss, and to establish through Batgirl how if you lose yourself in this job and you don't keep yourself centered, you can become like a fucking monster. Like, it shows her like beating this guy to near death, and she had no intention of stopping. Like, this guy it was a sociopath akin to the Joker who got into her head, and she let him play her like a fiddle. Like, he just, like, fucked with her the entire time. And she almost got to the point where she killed him. And it was at that point, she's like, okay, I'm turning in the costume. I don't want to become a murderer because of this. And I think that's, like, a cool story and everything. But I think, being that it's Batman, I think people are familiar with the concept of him staring into the abyss every day of his job. I think that's already well established, so it's not needed. That does cost it points. As for the Joker stuff itself, I don't know. I just had a really good time all the way through. I thought with how dark they went with the Joker trying to get to Batman and prove the point of it takes one bad day to turn someone into the fucking Joker. He's trying to make an example out of Commissioner Gordon by fucking crippling and pretty explicitly but still implicitly raping his daughter and taking pictures, forcing him to see everything, and, like, drive him insane for a majority of the film. And he's, like, pretty much a broken man by the time Batman gets to him. Like, the depths he goes to prove this point. And the backstory they give Joker, not always a fan of Joker backstories, but this one I thought was kind of fun. Well, not fun, but tragic. I had a good time watching it anyway. I had a lot of fun with that. I thought it was pretty damn good. I'm willing to put it into the B. I will say that as much as I don't mind the beginning of the movie, it does take away from the main point of the movie. Like, I do agree with people that it should have been cut out. It should have been, all that time should have been spent doing the Killing Joke story and doing as much as they could with it, and not allocating resources to the side story that establishes a pretty basic concept of Batman. I don't think they needed that at all. That does cost it points, but I think the rest of the film, I think being that I don't mind that section that much, and the rest of the film was so good for me, I'm not willing to put it below B. Mr. Wumble gave it a 10 out of 10? Wait, like, seriously? I don't think it's 10 out of 10, but it's pretty damn good. Let's see. Batgirl's sex is unnecessary? Unnecessary? Yeah, I'm not against the concept. I don't think it was needed. I think that could have been a completely separate story for a different movie, and I would have liked that movie. I think shoehorning it into the Killing Joke, that cost it points. I think what I hate about the Killing Joke is that at the time the Joker was out of character, and the behind the scenes makes it hard for me to enjoy. Is that at the time the Joker was out of character? What do you mean the Joker was out of character? It's from an early video, and he changed, but I keep bringing it up to annoy him. Oh, awesome. Well, sexual assault-like issues were very out of character. I don't know. I'd have to read more of the comics, I think. Like, obviously the one I grew up with was the Mark Hamill one from the animated series, so clearly the one I grew up with probably wouldn't do that. He did some pretty horrible shit, though, that you could argue is a lot worse than that. So maybe, but not really. He's also a wife beater. So assault against women in general isn't out of line. I don't know. That's pretty iffy. I think the Joker's sinking to those depths just to prove a point and to drive Batman to his breaking point. I think there's arguments to be made there, but I can see where that would be seen as out of character. It did suck that Barbara's only role was to get shot and presumably raped by the Joker. Yeah, that does kind of suck. But the prologue didn't really help flesh out her character like they probably wanted. I'd agree. I guess that was another point of the prologue, is just to establish her more for people that aren't as familiar. But, again, it doesn't do enough of that either. It's just like, you have to assume the people going in are already fans of Batman and just work from there. Like, I don't think anyone who's unfamiliar with Batman is starting with the Killing Joke. And if they do, I mean, that's kind of their problem. Alright, so, Batman and Harley Quinn. A much more jokey Batman movie. Definitely fun. Let's see. Let me find the layer it's on. Batman and Harley Quinn. Okay, so... definitely more jokey. I think it is okay. It has a hilarious use of Swamp Thing, where he's built up for just a moment, and you see him rise out of the swamp. These guys are about to destroy the world with their plot, but they're in a swamp, so Swamp Thing comes up, and he's about to lay the smackdown on these eco-terrorists. And he's got this booming voice, and he's got this authority, and the main villain is, like, on his knees, like, yo, I am not this level. Whatever you want, dude, I will do it. And Swamp Thing is just like, hey, man, this isn't my wheelhouse, so whatever, peace out, and he just leaves. It was pretty fucking funny. This one also has Harley Quinn hooking up with Nightwing, which I thought was kind of funny. And it wasn't Tara Strong doing her voice, which I'm also thankful for. Thanks for pointing that out, Sarah. Tara Strong, I love Tara Strong. I don't like her as Harley Quinn that much. I think she goes too Timmy Turner with it, personally. I don't know. It was more of a comedy. They got jokes like Harley Quinn, like her she farted in the Batmobile to piss off Batman and Nightwing. And Nightwing is just, like, fucking dying from how bad it is. And she's sitting in the back with her legs crossed, like, just enjoying every second of it. And Batman's, like, totally stoic and everything. And Nightwing's just begging, like, please, crack a window. And just, like, after a few moments of him dying, you can see Batman and his face scrunch up just a little bit, and you just see the window go down. It's just pretty damn funny. It had a lot of funny moments. I don't know. I like seeing Poison Ivy and shit. I don't know. I would give it a B as well. It was... for what it was, I did enjoy it quite a bit. I like the references to the old school Adam West stuff. There was a scene where they were in a bar for henchmen, and one of the henchmen was making fun of Batman just standing in front of him doing the fucking Batman dance from the 60s. And shit like that. It was kind of cool to see all the other famous henchmen from the show in the background. I think I like that it never took itself seriously. Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's right. There was a scene where they made fun of Booster Gold. Oh, God. Like, Booster Gold's going like, oh, yeah, you know, we'd love to help you save the world and everything, but the rest of the Justice League is busy with something. If you need my help, I'd be willing to go down there right now. And you see Nightwing just going... no! It was pretty damn funny. Oh, you put Killing Joke and Harley Quinn over Sub-Zero and Dark Knight. Fanboys will crucify you. Fanboys can suck my dick. Dark Knight was fucking terrible. I don't care what anyone says. That movie was boring and preachy and overly dark, taking itself way too seriously. Everyone speaks in boring-ass soliloquies. It is awful. And the designs are boring. I don't like the Batmobile in those movies. I think it's really dull. Doesn't have any style to it. It just looks like generic video game tank. I don't know. The version of the Joker was really cringy. I can't stand by it. All right, so Batman Beyond. Where is it? Return of the Joker. There it is. Okay, so Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. I love Terry McGinnis. I love that Batman. I love him a lot. I love old man Bruce Wayne in that show and in the movie. I love the fact that it's the Mark Hamill Joker returning. He's got some cool new henchmen, well, yeah, I'd say more memorable than his usual ones. It's got a small cameo from Harley Quinn as an old woman. Apparently, two of the henchmen who were like teenage mimes or whatever. Apparently, they're like the nieces of Harley Quinn, and she's like pulling them by the ears at the end of the movie. Like, what the fuck did I tell you about hanging with these people? It's just really funny. I like that little cameo. They have like 5 to 10 minutes. I think, 10 minutes in this, where it shows the depths that Joker was willing to stoop down to fuck with Batman, where he kidnapped Tim, who was one of the Robins, the youngest Robin, I believe, and he just tortured and brainwashed him to the point where he became Joker Jr. And it was to this day the best reveal of someone figured out Batman's identity. And even after all of the someone figured out who Batman was stories, it had a lot of weight and still puts a chill in my fucking spine every time I see it. Definitely look up this scene if you want. Like, look up Return of the Joker flashback scene. Should be around 10 minutes. It's really fucking good. And it's just a solid performance from Mark Hamill. The whole backstory is awesome. Definitely worth watching. I won't spoil too much of it, detail-wise. Can't recommend it enough. As far as the rest of the movie, it was... I don't know, it was pretty decent. Like, it was one of those things where the action kind of carries it, and the story was okay. I liked towards the end where it shows the real difference between how Bruce Wayne handles the Joker and how Terry McGinnis handles the Joker, where Bruce is warning him, this guy is a dangerous sociopath. Don't let... Like, he loves to talk, just don't let him get in your head. And then, whereas Batman would be super stoic and not respond to him and just try to focus on dealing with how to take him out, Terry was like, hey, wait a minute. I like to talk too. And he starts grilling Joker on how bad of a comedian he is. He just roasts him. It's like, oh, you got the acid and the flower lapel thing? Like, what is this, the 60s? Like, you're such an old hack. And he's actually getting to him. Like, the Joker is actually getting pissed off and losing his cool. It was really cool to see. I think moments like that, sprinkled throughout the movie, definitely, I would put it in the A's. It's definitely better than Killing Joke. It's definitely better than Harley Quinn. I love that movie to death. I really do. I also really like the last fight scene, how they showed how differently Terry fights the Joker. Fucking gold. I love how Terry was able to get on the Joker's skin. Dude, same. The animation was really good. Yes, it was. Yes, it fucking... No, yes, it fucking was. I love Batman movies. Okay, speaking of... Alright, so we're gonna get into a weird one. This one's pretty recent. Where is the layer? Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was a weird one. I think any movie with a scene with Batman saying cowabunga is a little weird. Just a little bit. They had... I don't like this version of Damian Wayne, where... I don't know. They made him a very different character. He was more like a standard Robin. He was more of a standard Robin. He was kind of like in between Jason Todd and Tim. It's kind of in between the two. Not quite as hard. Like, he was about as combat savvy as Jason Todd, but he was a little more jokey like Tim. And I didn't really like that for Damian. So I didn't like the Robin. Batgirl in this was pretty damn fun. I like this version of her. It's just like a slightly more jokey version of the Batgirl from the animated series. This version of Batman, pretty standard animated series Batman, except for moments where he's being a little jokey with the turtles. Like, nah. Another movie, again, fight scenes carry it for the most part. The story is that the Shredder and Ra's al Ghul team up. Ra's al Ghul needs... He wants the fucking goo that transforms people into animals and shit. He wants that to be weaponized to transform his army into, like, fucking bestial killing machines. And he wants to combine it with... He wants to combine it with the Joker toxin. So not only do they transform into animals, they become fucking insane at the same time. So they completely lose their minds, they cause havoc, destroy society, so on and so forth. He teams up with Shredder to do it. And Shredder wants his own thing. I can't remember what the Shredder wanted. I didn't pay attention to him for most of the movie. Just because I'm not as into TMNT. But there was a fight, there were a few fight scenes between Batman and the Shredder, which I thought were pretty fucking cool. They went about how I wanted them to, I think, where they're pretty close to evenly matched, but clearly Batman is enough to threaten Shredder to the point where he has to use his best, most self-harm, like, danger to himself moves just to break even. Like, he's willing to risk that damage to himself just to get away. Like, he doesn't even finish Batman off because he's so weak at that point. He's like, fuck this. And he just leaves. But Batman, at the same time, still pretty damn injured, so it's not like he was going to do much either at that point. But, yeah, it had a lot of cool shit like that. I thought him actually fighting the Ninja Turtles... That goes about as expected. Like, yeah, the Ninja Turtles are known for, you know, ninjutsu and shit, but, Batman has a lot more experience in every martial art, so he's kind of throwing them around. But there are still scenes where they establish, like, hey, you know, they're kind of pushovers compared to him, but they're still capable. I think the weakest part of this movie is the subplot where... It's surprising that this is the weakest part. Arkham Asylum, all the main Batman villains, they get transformed by the goop, and they get turned into fucking personas. There's a Harley Quinn hyena that is, like, terrifying, confuses me on many levels, but ultimately enjoyable, I think. Joker is a snake, which... doesn't really work at all, but Hyena was already taken, and Snake, Joker Venom, kinda. You know, I can see kinda where they're going for. But the majority of the villains, they made into jokes. Villains that I like a lot, like Mr. Freeze. They made him into a joke with the polar bear thing and just ice puns. They went closer to, like, Arnold. I hate that Mr. Freeze. Poison Ivy, she did absolutely nothing. Made a joke out of her. Scarecrow had a pretty cool sequence, where he's tormenting Leonardo, showing him visions of, like, you know, his brother's dying because of him and shit. He's, like, really getting into his head. And the whole thing, and the whole subplot of, like, Batman trying to teach Leonardo, it's like, hey, you know, you can't lose your cool in these situations. You really have to focus, find your center, and then you'll be able to, like, you know, even kick my ass, maybe. And that was the whole thing that got him out of that. It was pretty cool to watch that sequence, I think. I think he wasn't done as dirty as the rest of them. But that subplot in general was pretty damn weak, and it just kind of felt like a total aside. And went on for too long. Is Scarecrow a crow? Yes. Yes, he was. He was definitely a crow. He was definitely a crow. Which fit. I mean, what else is he gonna be? And the mask he has in this movie is completely stupid and makes no sense until he becomes a crow. It's like, okay, well now it fits his head. It's like this comically McDonald's mascot size looking thing. I'm like, why does he look like that? Then he becomes a crow and he grows and the beak comes out the giant mouth hole. I'm like, oh, all right. So I guess he just knew ahead of time that something like this would happen. That's fine. As far as ranking, I've got to put it... I'll put it in the B's. I'll put it in the B's. B's! Alright, Dark Knight Returns. It's a small collection of stories, 3 stories, as I recall. Yeah, 3 stories, put into one movie. Pretty sweet. The overarching thing that it builds up to is the fight between Batman and Superman before Batman retires / dies. And you see, like, it's the return of Batman, like, he's been in retirement for a while, and he comes back once crime is taking over Gotham again, and it's going unchecked, and they have control of the police, usual Batman stuff. He's an older man, and it's a very, like, Ayn Randian Batman, where it's very pull yourself up by your bootstraps, it's every man for himself, you gotta be your own man, don't expect help from anyone else, all this kind of stuff, which in politics gets annoying, but in Batman it works surprisingly well. It was kind of cool to see this overly macho old man Batman take these fuckers out, and you see how he has to compensate for his age and the wear and tear on his body over the years. It was cool to see that. Like when he's fighting in the first story, he has to take out the gang of mutants, and their leader is in his peak, he's in his physical prime, and he beats the shit out of Batman. Like, clearly Batman can put up his dukes. He lands some solid blows, but he just can't last anymore. He can't last in an extended fight. Fist fight with this guy. So eventually he challenges him again in front of all of his dudes, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take out the pack leader and the rest will follow because they're all weak, spineless bitches. And I'm gonna use them for good. Instead of just imprisoning all of them, I'm gonna use them. But it was cool. Like, he fought him in a mud... Like, he got him into a mud pit, and he fought him in there because they'd both be slowed down. And he was using his knowledge... He's using his, like, medical knowledge to, like, okay, I'm gonna take out his body piece by piece. I'm gonna fuck up his shoulders so he can't land his right hooks. I'm gonna, like, throw mud in his eyes initially, and then I'm gonna cut the top of his head so he's constantly bleeding into his eyes. I don't know if you guys have watched wrestling, but if you get even a small cut on your head that's not super lethal or anything, it bleeds a lot. Even if it's not really serious damage, there's a lot of blood. It gets pretty dramatic looking. So he's constantly wiping his eyes, he's constantly on his back, on his back foot and everything. So he takes him down that way, starts dislocating his joints and shit, and just completely dismantles him. So that was cool. Second story is him going against the Joker once the Joker sees on TV. Like, the Joker's pretty much catatonic. I don't know if they ever explained why. But he kind of snaps to when he sees that the Batman has returned on TV. And Batman, again, is at the point where he can't keep doing this. And it's at the point where he might have to actually kill Joker. And he pretty much all but does. Like, he's got the Joker pinned. Joker's just, like, constantly stabbing him over and over again, and he can't take much more. He's on the brink of death, and he knows that Joker is going to murder a shit ton of people, and he has no other recourse. He snaps his neck most of the way. He doesn't quite die, but it was pretty clear that he wanted to kill him, and the Joker just counts it as a win and offs himself. And it was pretty damn cool. And then it leads up to the president going, okay, Batman's undermining our authority at this point again. These heroes were supposed to be outlawed at this point in time. Superman, who works for America now, I guess, take him the fuck out. And it leads to their fight, and it was an amazing Batman versus Superman fight. If you guys aren't going to watch this movie, it's very long. It's a little over 2 hours, as I recall. At least do yourself the favor of watching the fight. I would say I would put this in the A tier. This is an A tier Batman movie. It was fucking sweet. Also, it has the most adorable Robin. I can't remember her name, though. It's been too long. I think it... What was it? Fuck! What was it? Was it Kylie? Ah, fuck. What was it? I can't remember her name for the life of me now. Yeah, let me look it up real quick. Girl Robin. It was... Oh, it was Carrie Kelly. Carrie Kelly. She is an adorable Robin. She's very spunky. She uses future jive, which I have implemented in my own speech every once in a while. I like it. I like her a lot. Like, she's just fun. She's just really fun. She's the best Robin. I love her. I don't know. She's not the most badass Robin. She's probably the least badass Robin, but god damn it, I can't not enjoy her. All right. Jesus, how long is the streaming going on now? Christ. All right, do you guys want me to finish out the Batman list now, or would you rather go to Crash and then finish out the Batman list once we finish? Because this has been a really long one, and we've got 5 more to go. Let me know. Finish now, says Roy the Boy Johnson. Crash says Jess. Finish says Roy. Crash says Sarah. Or finish now. God damn it, Sarah. Fucking A. Alright, it's looking like it's pretty much down the middle then, with an undecided, and 1 for each. Okay, I'll look at your image. Cowabunga. Oh, I saw that earlier, yeah. Alright, I'll try to speed round these ones. Alright, Batman Year One. It's another origin movie for Batman, but more of the focus is on Commissioner Gordon and how he was doing during Batman's first year. It focuses on Gordon completely turning around, like Batman is handling crime from outside the police, and Commissioner Gordon is trying to handle the crime inside the police. He's not commissioner yet. This is his story of how he becomes one. And it's got a lot of cool stuff. It's got a lot of, like, political intrigue shit. It's got a lot of inner police politics and crime boss shit. It has very intimidating scenes with Batman establishing himself as, hey, criminal scum, you're gonna get fucked up. Like, he's going to, like, the rich elites that are, you know, using citizens as pawns and shit just to make more delicious money. And just kind of, you know, floating around the law at will. And they even have some of the police higher-ups with them at their meetings and shit. Like, he breaks in through the window, all the lights go out, he sets, like, a fire on the table, and he's, like, lit really fucking scared. Like, he's got a really scary lighting to him. And he just, like, gives this dramatic speech, and then he slowly puts out the fire, it goes to black, and it is the coolest shit. Very intimidating, very cool. So I think that was pretty cool. It didn't show Batman as a total badass yet. He's still coming into his own. He's making mistakes against even common criminals. He's fucking up with his combat here and there. But you see him become the Batman. Commissioner Gordon, you see him take down the higher-ups of the police station. You see him just do it in, like, ways that you wouldn't expect Commissioner Gordon to do. Like, he fucks some people up and intimidates them in pretty interesting ways, let's say. And he also has a pregnant wife who he's cheating on, and there's a whole thing with that gets used as blackmail against him. It's very interesting. It actually is a very interesting and involved story. I highly recommend it. I'm gonna put it in the... Oh, that is a tough one, actually. I'm gonna put it as an in-between S and A. I very much highly recommend this movie. I enjoy most of the Year One comics. Did you include the Japanese ones, the different ones from different studio and director? Actually, yeah, that is on here. That is on here. My shit is pixelated right now, but is Gotham by Gaslight on there? Yes, it is. Right now, we're going to Lego Batman. Alright, so Lego Batman. I was clearly not the intended audience, so I'm just gonna go ahead and clear that up right out the gate. Vast majority of the humor fell flat. I don't know. I didn't find any of it funny. I didn't think any of it was particularly well done at any point. It had a couple okay jokes here and there. But I don't know, like, there are movies that are intended for a younger audience, and then there are movies that felt like they were written by a younger audience. You know what I mean? I don't know. I would put it... I'd still put it above Dark Knight and Batman vs. Superman, though, but not by much. I'll put it between E and F. Did you like the Lego movie? I didn't see the Lego movie. I've heard that one's pretty good. But if Lego Batman's any indication, I probably wouldn't like it. I don't know how similar they are. I know Batman's like a side character in it. Alright, so Batman Gotham Knight. Alright, so this is the one that Sarah was talking about earlier. Gotham Knight is a collection of short Batman stories handled by Japanese studios in their own art styles. And I think, yeah, I enjoyed every story in this and every art style in this, with the exception of the very first one. It had a very weak start for me, with a bunch of kids recounting their exaggerated stories of when they saw Batman. I don't particularly like the art style, though I do appreciate that it kind of looks like Jet Set Radio a little bit. Like, what is it called? Cell shading? But the rest of the stories I loved. I won't go into every single one of them, but I will say my favorite was the one where Bruce Wayne is not yet Batman, but he's training. He goes to India to get trained by these gurus who can teach you to pretty much not feel pain or deal with it to the point where no one would ever know you feel it and you can just work through it. But yeah, he goes there. They won't train him because they know that there's ulterior motives to what he's doing, and he won't be honest with them because no one's supposed to know you're Batman. So they disregard him. They're like, no, fuck off. We can't trust you. You need to be completely honest with your intentions of using this. It could be very dangerous in the wrong hands. And it's kind of a sacred thing. You know, they go into that. So he finds a woman who has been labeled a witch. She pretended to be... The gurus only taught males, and she went there disguised as a male, kind of a Mulan deal. And they all kind of knew it, but they tried to fuck with her while she was there as a young girl, and they tried to make it harder and harder on her, but she passed all of their tests with flying colors, to the point where they just got super pissed off, outed her, and made her an outcast. But she mastered what they had to teach. Enough, at least, to intimidate them into scaring her off and making her an outcast. So she teaches Batman, and they have interesting back and forths on what pain is and how you deal with pain, how you work through it, and ultimately how he'll never master it because he has an internal pain that he's not letting go. Like, he has to not do the Batman thing to truly get past it. And they have interesting things like that. There's another one later. I'll just go into the ending of it. It ends on Batman's critically wounded. He's waiting for Alfred to pick him up. He's in the sewers. He gets under a sewer grate, and he's finding all of these weapons. And he's, like, breathing really heavy. He's practically dead. He's picking up all these weapons. He's collecting them and everything. He's trying to make sure that, you know, these don't get in the wrong hands. I need to protect the city and shit. And Alfred finally comes to pick him up, and he's reaching his hand down like, hey, give me your hand. And Batman just, like, pauses for a second. He starts looking at the guns he's holding, and he just says, I can't. And then it just cuts out. And I think that was I thought that was a really poignant moment. I thought that was great character development. I love that shit. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put this between A and S. The first I don't put it in S just because of that first short. That does drag it down a bit. I really like the one with Officer Montoya. That was a good one, too. I love the animation in that one. And it had the awesome scene with Batman and the fire and shit and the choir going, and he's, like, super intimidating. I love that. Alright, this one I watched recently, Batman Ninja. If you like Batman, but are more in the mood for extremely dumb, but extremely stylistic and fun action, anime-style action, watch Batman Ninja, because that is exactly what it is. It is a bunch of dumb fun from beginning to end. You've got Damian Wayne as a fucking spunky anime child sidekick with a little monkey friend. They get blasted to the past to play the video games that suck ass by Gorilla Grodd. And they're all in, like, feudal-era Japan. Batman gets there later than everyone. It's only by a couple seconds, but he ends up, like, 2 years ahead of when they got there. So a lot of the main villains are, like, feudal lords of different sections of Japan. One of them being the Joker. I think Joker and Harley Quinn are really done well in this movie. I think they're a lot of fun. I think they went very stylized, both with the semi-3D animation and the scene where... There's a scene where Harley and Joker... I won't spoil the details, but they have amnesia and they don't remember who they were, so they're living as, like, just farmers. And it's a very stylized scene. It all looks like hand-drawn, hand-painted. I don't know the style. Sarah would know better than me once she watches it. But it's very, like, old-school Japanese art style, and I really like it. It's very, very dirty, you know what I mean? Like, it's not super cleaned up, and it looks very, very neat. And it's very well done, very well written, and acted. But the rest of the movie, it's just super dumb, fun shit. It's got ninjas, it's got armies of monkeys, it's got buildings that turn into giant killer robots, it's got all that dumb shit. I will put it between B and A. I'll put it between B and A, because I don't think a Batman movie that's just dumb fun gets to be in the S and A's for me, personally. But it is really good, and it's definitely better than these three here. Which you can't see because my cursor's not showing. But, you know, the 3 in the B tier. Oh, hang on. Let me look up. Sarah says it's probably Yukio block print. Let me see. Yes, but not quite as clean looking. And not quite as vivid color-wise. But that basic style, yeah. Like that's the general look of it. Yeah, I think that is it. Okay, so Batman Gotham by Gaslight. It is a Jack the Ripper story told through fucking Batman characters. It's just fun. It's just kind of neat to see Batman done in that setting. Unfortunately, I watched this a while ago, like when it first came out, which was a year or two ago, I think. So my memory of it isn't great. But I remember thoroughly enjoying it, watching it with my dad. I can't give a super in-depth review of it, but I just wanted to throw it on here because I thought it was worth mentioning at the very least, even if I don't remember it much. But yeah, it's just kind of it's a very interesting whodunit. I remember being kind of surprised with the direction they went with who Jack the Ripper ended up being. I won't spoil it because it's pretty cool. What a twist. Yeah, pretty much. Except it was an actually good one. Like, it threw me off. But, given that I can't remember a ton of it, though, I remember the animation being good. I remember the style they went with being good. I remember the acting being fine. Well, good, but you know what I mean. I'm gonna throw it between B and C. If only just because I don't remember enough of it to give it a fair shake either way. But I remember it. It's definitely not an F. It's definitely not an E, a D. It's definitely not in these bottom three by any stretch of the imagination. If it were anywhere near here, I would remember it, because I have a very negative mindset, and I remember these things. Alright, so that is my tier list for Batman movies. Fuck Dark Knight. Fuck it. Wow, only half an E. I know, right? Nothing quite got into E. It's either too good or too bad. I'm still kind of... You know what? Honestly, looking at this, I'm kind of surprised that... Well, technically, 3 of these are... Or 2 out of the 3, based on the original animated series, are in the D tier. Don't get me wrong, with the exception of the bottom 3 down here, I would not call any of these bad movies. I'm just ranking them based on... Pretty much grading on a curve. If that makes sense. But yeah, there we go. There are my tier lists for the night. We all enjoyed those. And definitely, I recommend all those movies that were above the E tier. Let's see, surprise, I don't want to kick your ass. This isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Thank you. I appreciate that.